First of all, for giving me the chance to express myself, I would like to thank our beloved director, who previously was record producer at the Ime Chain Music Bazaar, producer of the records for the greatest and the most popular musicians whose names we know and do not know. I hope that we will return to that glorious era where the music, playing on a loop over and over again, was made for movies, and our beloved director and his beloved crew will relive those glorious and joyful days they dreamed of. Returning to our topic, I've never seen myself as a person who can express themselves well. It may seem like that's the problem, but believe me, that's not the case at all. Language barriers? No. The main problem, or gist of the problem if you ask me, is that you suddenly feel compelled to express yourself for one reason or another. However, when you love someone, you try to understand them. Here's the problem. Literally here. When you have an expectation from someone, you make this effort, but you cannot realize the expectation that directs your efforts to understanding the other person. That's the problem, if you ask me. Also, if you ask me again, I think that expectation is not fully understood by people, but this is not our topic. Our topic is to be able to talk about oneself. I can't say it's like the line that separates life and death, but I can say it's like the line between reality and reality. You may think that because of what I'm going to tell you now, I would ask you to love me and therefore really understand, but that's not the case, believe me. That's not the case. In fact, I thought a lot about whether to tell you these things because I know that I will regret it later, because I've lived before. But I must state this in advance. The regret I will experience will not come from what I told you, but from how I told you. At first, I thought it's appropriate to say this because writing or reflecting on something is a matter of regret, because you can think about what will happen after writing. Frankly, if you ask me what I'm going to tell you, I can't give a clear answer to this. That's why I brought the diaries that I've written since the year I learned to read and write. They're now a single text. Or, if you wish, a scenario, or, if you wish, a story. My history. And I took this text to the director. He politely rejected me at first, as he was also a very busy person. But then, after talking with his crew, he accepted my story. I think they liked my story. By the way, I have to give him credit. No one else would have valued my story. He liked it very much. He again politely told me that there were so many unnecessary details. According to him, we should shoot a short film because of the intensity of my story. When I got home and looked at the rest of the text was shortened, but I can say that I like it even more now. Yes, very, very important parts were gone, but very important parts remained. Since very, very important parts have been omitted, I should also mention that, as you will see in the following scenes of the movie, problems are a part of life. I've had many problems before. While some of them made me make some changes in my life, some did not lead to any changes. It's part of life, but I would like to talk about an incident that happened to me, even if it is short. This was unfortunately removed from the script by the director. It was years ago. Dragon calmness on another snowy day. As a result of this incident, I began to understand that something had changed, and that it was no longer me who was looking outward. We could be 2, we could be 3, we could be 4. There were tales of 1001 nights, which in my case were tales of 2002 nights. And, as I mentioned earlier, there could be tales of 3003, or even tales of 4004 nights. No problem, it's part of life. Istanbul's a really ridiculous city, if you ask me. Sometimes I wish I'd come as a tourist instead of living in this city. Maybe then, for example, Galata Tower would have been more beautiful to me. This is the hospital where I was born. This is the school where I was graduated. This is the company where I was rejected. What's going on? Why are they running? What packages do they have? Now, where did this come from? Will you please shut up? Now's not the time to ask questions. Can't you see running? Hello. Hi. Well, what's the passing grade for this course? To be honest, this course is complex. It's an important course as well as complex. This is problems of philosophy. It's interesting. Yes, it is complex. As important as it is complex. As interesting as it is important. Going back to our topic, Professor, what's the passing grade for this course? It would be hard for me to say anything right now. Can't you say something approximately? I think 60 will be enough. Wouldn't it be 50? Maybe, depending on attendance. Agreed. I hope that you're doing well, that you've read the assigned readings, but I'll read the parts that I think are important. Then we should look at, as began to see that the dreams did not match the reality, began to dream dreams that encompass all kinds of reality that awaited. This has become defense mechanism over time. Later, had the opportunity to experience the times when this was insufficient. The remedy found is to create realities that would not contain reality in one way or another. Closely examined, whether historically or in the contemporary laboratory, that enterprise seems an attempt to force nature into the preformed and relatively inflexible box that the paradigm supplies. No part of the aim of normal science is to call forth new sorts of phenomena. Indeed, those that will not fit in the box are often not seen at all. Nor do scientists normally aim to invent new theories, and they are often intolerant of those invented by others. Instead, normal scientific research is directed to the articulation of those phenomena and theories that the paradigm already supplies. Whenever didn't feel like belonged where was, mind would go to novels. Sometimes would visualize a part of a novel, sometimes several chapters. Could have written all of novels in one sitting if wanted to, but was afraid of not choosing the right words. 14th novel was about a bookshop owner. Nevertheless, paradigm changes do cause scientists to see the world of their research engagements differently. Insofar as their only recourse to that world is through what they see and do, we may want to say that after a revolution, scientists are responding to a different world. Actually wasn't a bookstore owner at the beginning of the book. Always wanted to do a job where could chat with people and where a lot of people would come and go. Found the solution in opening a bookstore. Maybe I would find the solution by opening a bookstore. Had found it, but unfortunately no one came to the bookshop. Found the solution by hiring 2 people. It went bankrupt after hiring 2 people for a small bookstore where no books were sold. Therefore, at times of revolution, when the normal scientific tradition changes, the scientist's perception of his environment must be re-educated. In some familiar situations, he must learn to see a new gestalt. Dreams did not come true, but the ending of the novel was happy. Yes, let's move on to the next text without taking a break. All scientific research programs may be characterized by their hard core. The negative heuristic of the program forbids us to direct the modus tollens at this hard core. Instead, we must use our ingenuity to articulate or even invent auxiliary hypotheses, which form a protective belt around this core, and we must redirect the modus tollens to these. It is this protective belt of auxiliary hypotheses which has to bear the brunt of tests and get adjusted and readjusted, or even completely replaced, to defend the thus hardened core. 53rd book was a book that brought together the characters of all other novels, said it had to be very cheerful, said that joy and enthusiasm should sparkle from every page of this book. In Newton's program, the negative heuristic bids us divert the modus tollens from Newton's 3 laws of dynamics and his law of gravitation. This core is irrefutable by the methodological decision of its protagonists. Anomalies must lead to changes only in the protective belt of auxiliary, observational hypothesis and initial conditions. The main character in this book was actually a novelist. Also wrote the other characters. For example, wrote the characters in the 14th novel. Burned to death in the end, but the character wasn't actually burning. This would represent the fire within. Arranged novel in such a way that not everyone would understand it. For example, no one would talk to at first, would not have a conversation with anyone where lived. But at the end of the book, while house was on fire, all neighbours would try to extinguish the fire with the water in their small glasses. Even the most rapidly and consistently progressive research programs can digest their counter-evidence only piecemeal. Anomalies are never completely exhausted. Few theoretical scientists engaged in a research program pay undue attention to refutations. They have a long-term research policy which anticipates these refutations. This research policy, or order of research, is set out in more or less detail in the positive heuristic of the research program. The negative heuristic specifies the hard core of the program, which is irrefutable by the methodological decisions of its protagonists. The positive heuristic consists of a partially articulated set of suggestions or hints on how to develop the refutable variants of the research program, how to modify, sophisticate the refutable protective belt. People were like that. What could one do? It was a part of life. There was nothing that could be done about that either. You can ask now, why? Because has no money. If you have a certain taste, and you know that the only way to produce is to consume, you should also know that you must have a lot of money. Frankly, doesn't have a lot of money. Actually, I can't say I know if has any money. If this answer's not enough for you, we can say that this is not the main answer to the question why, or we may not. But if you ask me, the main answer is the existence of a predetermined price on which everyone agrees in one way or another. This is unacceptable. Does the fact that you pay the price of something mean that the good or service you buy for that money will fully cover the amount you pay? What if what you get offers less than its price? What if you get more than you pay for? I don't want anyone running after me just because I got too much. But I have to admit this too. Even though people don't pretend like that, everyone gets what they want, one way or another. Can't I see who's doing what? They take it and run away. I didn't see anyone come back after they ran away. I'm back. Well, did you pay the price I set before the movie started? Will you pay when it finishes? Our beloved director. What's wrong with these people? Did our running, or even my running, suddenly become a problem? Hello. I hope all is well. Hi. Thanks. Everything's fine. I hope all is well with you too. Thank you. Everything's fine. Are you nervous? To be honest, I'm a little nervous. It's quite normal. In order to overcome your nerves, tell us your name first. Then, if you want, let's continue by answering the classic question. How would you describe yourself? So, relax. You don't need to be nervous at all because the purpose of this interview is not to measure your technical ability. Rather, we're trying to see if you can adapt to work life. You also know that this is a different place and you'll appreciate that business life is different from our daily lives. In other words, it's a place with its own rules. After all, our company stands out with its corporate identity, and this is very important to us. Internal audit, accounting, purchasing, suits, heels, shoes that are not heels, services, human resources, Ayrton Senna, Michael Schumacher. Today, the main character started the day with a 10% drop. You can also think of it as a different world. Couldn't say anything, not even a single word. Why did they do this? What did that mean? Are you crazy? Tried not to get caught up in the game and wanted to knock down the table and change the game. Our beloved director and his beloved team worked hard to maintain composure. Thankfully. Couldn't say that was afraid, but had a feeling that hadn't felt in a long time. In fact, at this point, books or music or movies or whatever you call it were protecting from this swamp. but couldn't always walk into a shop and take something and run away. In a moment of weakness, they had hit at vulnerable spot. Now, would it be 3 people, 4 people, or 5 people? I was happy, but what's it called? Such is life. But how many more will fit in this box? I do not know what to do. But you understand me, right? Yes, yes, we understand. Thanks. I looked around. There was no one or nothing to fight with, nor could I see a situation where I could fight and eventually turn into someone else. In other words, it always happens. A problem becomes a fight. If you can solve the problem, a different reality awaits you. You gain a different perspective on life. I looked around again, and I couldn't see it. Maybe if I were someone else, I would have seen it. It's okay. As I stated before, my aim is to explain myself. Believe me, I have no other intention. Maybe you understand me. I hope. Maybe I could explain myself better, but, well, I could choose better words. Maybe I could learn to play an instrument. It didn't happen. We've been a burden to you too. Now's the time to return. I think I know the city too well to be a tourist. Maybe it would be an interesting story if I died now. Finally, I want to say this. Trust me, it's better this way. Thinking and dreaming. Of course, you need to consume to be able to do these. Of course, money to consume. And how I should say it, you know now. But I'm so happy, believe me. I guess we won't be seeing each other for a long time. Maybe never. But I must also state that, of course, I believe that this will happen. One day, they will ask me my name and how I define myself. See you then. hope I explained myself. Maybe next time you'll tell me about yourself.
La